What's happening, guys? Maddie here from DCLblogger.com. Going to be going through NFT Twitter hype. All right. How do you navigate this craziness? How do you invest or buy or do anything in the art market, in the collectible market, CryptoPunks, Decentraland, Wearable, NBA Topshot? What's going on there? How are people making so much money? I'm going to be deep diving into, say, about 5 to 6 different projects. I have nothing against any of these projects. What I aim to do with this video, tweet, thread, whatever, blog post, whatever you're watching, is bring to light what people do in marketplaces. So I'm not going to say these are good or bad tactics. I'm going to leave that to you to decide what's good, what's bad. But it is important that you, as a new investor to this space, understand how marketplaces work and how things like Twitter, how things like big numbers and volume sharing and showing how this thing sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars brings a lot of interest. And is that interest sustainable? Are you buying at the top? How this whole thing works. So I'm going to be diving through a bunch of different projects. Let's kind of start with NBA Topshot. Like I said, I have nothing against any of these projects. So NBA Topshot, built on Flow, a product by Dapper Labs. Dapper Labs made CryptoKitties. CryptoKitties back in 2017, late 2017, were one of the breakout NFT projects that put NFTs on the map the first time around. So they kind of done it the second time around, which is pretty astonishing. The thing about NBA Topshot is very early when they were beta testing. They still are beta testing, as you can see, still in beta mode. People kind of had the chance to come in and buy all the early sets. So the base set ones, where are they? The base set ones, base set twos. Where's the base set ones? Okay, so series ones, all the really early ones. Like they were able to buy packs for pretty cheap, you know, $12, $9. I know the Cosmics. I know the Cosmics were really special. I know like the hollows that came from some of these packs were really special. So people had the chance to buy these really, really early, right? And usually in NFT projects, the very early releases have the most value. If you look at Pokemon cards, the base sets that were released in like 1997, they hold much more value than those released later, especially those that are released in 2010, 2020. They may release more sets of new Pokemon, but the very earlier ones are those that are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So in marketplaces, or especially NFT collector marketplaces, where it's really a collector demographic. Now, Decentraland is its own separate thing, and we'll get into that later. It's very utility driven. There's no such thing as a collector item there. In terms of the land, all land is equal. They have utility. They allow you to build on the land. It's a separate thing, right? But in terms of collector marketplaces like NBA Topshot, CryptoPunks, whatever there may be, the very early things, NFTs have the most value. So people came in, they had the chance to test out NBA Topshot, but also buy all the really good packs. And so congrats to them. They bought out quite a lot of the packs and got in early. And I don't think NBA Topshot really marketed themselves that much then. They had a lot of marketing coming. So it was quite exciting, I guess, to be in here and buy all these early packs for a very strong brand. NBA Topshot's mega scalable. Big celebrities own parts of NBA teams. Chamath owns part of a team. Mark Cuban owns a team. Gary Vee collects baseball, NBA cards. You know, like big people are in this. So it's exciting to own a new digital collectible in the NBA world. But if you dive really deep, let's kind of see what may be a little bit confusing and why you have to think twice when investing at the moment. So before we kind of jump into NBA Topshot, I should have done this at the start, idiot me. But I wanted to go through this NFT Twitter hype cycle image, right? So I drew this up. NFT price growth, phase 1. Early investors and traders accumulate cheap, early, rare editions and mints. So a new project comes up, the Discord fills up with early adopters, and it's like, and you know, they know what's going on. They're like, oh wow, this is going to be a great big project. They invest early, they accumulate as much as they can based on the risk. Maybe they think it's going to be huge, so they invest a bit more. Maybe they think it's not going to be as big, so they just dabble in a little bit. And then phase 2, they hype it hard on Twitter, and we've seen this a lot. They go on Twitter, show big sales, show big volume. Oh, this thing sold for $20,000. This one sold for $50,000, right? In the crypto space, guys, you have to understand people are rich AF. Like there are people in this space that are sitting on 300 to 500 million dollars that are like me and you. You know, I'm no one special. I'm just some dude on my laptop at home. And then they just have gotten lucky investing or have invested very strategically in the crypto space. Bitcoin, Ethereum is like, Bitcoin's 10 plus years old, I think. Ethereum's about 4 or 5 years old. It's gone from $1 to $1,500 now. People have 1,500x in some cases. So there's billionaires in this space that for them 50K or 100K is nothing. It's nothing. It's like a fly it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like change for them. So for them to come and be like, oh, this is cool, here's 100K. It's nothing for them, because for them it was 100 Ethereum, right? Or 50 Ethereum, which they bought for $50. So you got to understand the psychology of investors or people that are putting money aggressively in this space. A lot of them have a lot of money to spend. And especially in the crypto space, they don't want to exit to fiat, right? Because then you got to pay taxes. They would ideally keep that in the crypto space, ideally buy some other cryptocurrencies, buy some NFTs. It's becoming like a hobby of rich people because just splurging on stuff. So yeah, they hype it hard on Twitter. They show big sales that attracts maybe some other whales come in. Maybe the sales get bigger. They show big volume. So hey, NBA Topshot's done like $10 million volume in a day. Big news. Volume means a lot of people are buying and selling. It means it's a very healthy marketplace. But as I'll show later on, how this can be misleading. I mean, Decentraland shows big volume. A lot of it's not just NBA Topshot. I'm talking about all projects here. I'm using NBA Topshot as an example. This is true for all projects. They show prices going up. Okay, so that's phase 2. It brings a lot of hype. It brings a lot of people. A lot of early investors, they sell a little bit here and then prices suddenly 5, 10x in the short term. So those investors at the early stages, they start selling at profit as the new interest comes in from their work from phase 2. They put their new profits back in to keep volume high and try and double up. Okay, so they just made 10x. Let's buy some more. Demand really slows. It's time to kind of sell aggressively. If you're an early investor, you're like, volume slowing down. I have like $1 million worth of these NFTs. I need to sell them, but it's only doing $500,000 a day in volume. If I don't sell them soon, liquidity will dry up and therefore I won't be able to sell my NFTs. So they start to sell, and so price starts to go down, and price starts to go down again. Volume really slows, and suddenly either can't really sell, so you kind of have to keep building the hype to sell, or you kind of just sell aggressively and exit. So you've done most of your position. So you kind of cruise along. Maybe you have a few of those NFTs left, and this whole thing happens within a 1 to 3 month time frame. Let's just say 1 to 6 months, right? In that time frame, it's all the rage. But then slowly, some other projects are in the works, and something really hot and shiny is coming up next. So people jump to that, and that's probably at the dying stages of this. And people want to exit because they want to get into the early stages of the next project. You see what I mean? They made their money here. They want to jump back to the early phase 1 because that's where the money is made. You get in early, you see the 10x, you jump to some other projects. What traders do, that's what people do in the cryptocurrency world. The NFT space is no different. Again, I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm saying this is what happens, all right? So, yeah, take it as you want. I'm just going to make sure I'm recording here. Yeah. All right. So right at the end, so phase 7, which is kind of at the tail end of this first hype cycle, there's 2 scenarios that will happen. All right. So 6 months has passed. This first 5 phases happen in the first 3 months. People have cruised along for the next 3 to 6 months. Either 2 things happen. Some new shiny project takes the spotlight. People dump everything to cash out, and they're like, oh shit, I need to get out. I need to get out. I want to quickly jump into the other project. Or that project, like NBA Topshot, adds utility. I think NBA Topshot has the game in the works. Some new project, maybe Mark Cuban will announce that, hey, I just bought this Topshot moment for $300,000. Maybe Gary Vee tweets that he's interested. Boom, hype comes back, and then something happens. So these are the cycles. And when people ask me, what should I invest in, Maddie? I'm like, I don't know. Everything's investable, but it depends on when you invest. Invest in things. If you want to invest in the early stages, you have to be in the weeds of things. Like you have to be in Discord. You have to know what's coming up every day for 4 to 5 hours. You need to be figuring out what's coming next. You need a network. You need to be able to talk to the founders of these projects, And they'll tell you what's coming up, and then therefore you can jump in early, assess the project, invest if you want. Or you hear about it on Twitter or some news article or some YouTube, like you're hearing about it now, and you jump in, but you're jumping in somewhere here. You don't know if it's going to continue to go up. Maybe you're in it for the long term. So a project cycle, or just a project for an NFT project for like 1 to 5 years, and this image I'm going through is predominantly true. I hope I'm not covering the image here with my video, but maybe I am. Anyway, that's not too bad. This is true for non-art projects, right? In art projects, it's a similar thing, especially with Nifty Gateway, where they do a big release and then after 5 minutes, it's gone. A new artist comes up. A lot of flippers try and quickly make money and exit. But what's happening now is people are realizing that flipping is very risky now in the NFTs, in the art space, especially Nifty Gateway. So they're kind of, it is attracting more collectors that just want a piece of this new art drop. So yeah, this is kind of what happens. And then the good projects will continue building utility 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the line. You know, the early collector NFTs, they've gone through the hype cycle, which is normal. Like projects go through hype cycles and stagnancy, and then another hype cycle and then stagnancy for a while, but each hype cycle, it's larger and larger. So you got to figure out where you want to invest, right? And that's the important part. So again, back to Topshot, I said that I covered the fact that, hey, early investors went in phase 1, people got in, bought the early packs, got all the really early mints, the cheap, the very low edition mints, mint number 1, mint number 2, the really good cards. And then I started buying and selling. And then people came in to Topshot, and hey, some cards were like $1 or $2, they bought them up. And projects like, so that sort of activity is normal. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being an early adopter, getting really cool cards and being excited and promoting it on Twitter. Nothing wrong with that, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of this, actually. I'm saying that as a user or a new investor, as a newbie, you need to know what's going on. So just take that as it is. All right, so NBA Topshot sold out all the early packs, and then people went to Twitter, talked about all the big sales that were happening. Obviously, some new collectors into NBA were buying their favorite players, and suddenly we were seeing $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 sales. And then what happened was people started showing images of their portfolio net worth. So they were using a website called Intangible, which is a pretty cool website. It shows data about your project. And I'm going to be going through a user called Nate Alex. Now, I've got nothing against you, bro. Nothing against Nate Alex. Cool guy. All I am doing is just showing how this can be not a very incorrect display of information. And credit to the person that made this website, and also credit to some of the users of NBA Topshot who have said publicly that this sort of estimations are not accurate and not healthy. Now, the problem with this account valuation tool, which values Nate Alex's account at 947 unique moments, being $360,000, which is nuts. The problem with that is this line right here. Market low price. It estimates based on the cheapest listing, right? The market low, not the most recent sale. There's a problem in that because it can be gamed, and I'll show you exactly how. So the market low price could be too high. For example, a moment could have a market low of $100,000 when the last sale was only $1,000. So if you kind of look at the LeBron James here, we'll open up the LeBron James. You can see how the cheapest listing is $206,000, right? Okay, maybe I need to open it up here. LeBron James, where are you, buddy? Okay. Oh no, wait, that's the Holo series. LeBron James Cosmic series. So this one right here, you can see how the cheapest listing is $206,000, but you scroll down and you see what it's actually sold at. The most recent sale, if you ignore, okay, let's just even take the high serial number, $50,000, all right? Jan 23rd, okay, 2 weeks from now, we can say the price is appreciated. We can say the price has not appreciated, whatever. Anything beyond this is speculation. So suddenly, if you are estimating your portfolio as the cheapest listing, well, technically, if I own both of these, I can remove both listings and I can just list one for $1 million. And suddenly my portfolio is estimated on Intangible as having that $1 million because that's the cheapest listing, right? So you can see here how it estimates $206,000 as the market low, and that's like more than half of the portfolio's net worth. Whereas the price average is $14,362, or let's just say the price low is $50,000. It's nowhere near, it's 1/4 of the price of the market low. And you see how it can be gamed, right? And people say, well, it doesn't, the portfolio does not account for like the low mints. Maybe some portfolios have a lot of low mints. Yeah, that's cool. But NFTs are also very illiquid. So if you are evaluating a portfolio, you have to be conservative because you cannot sell that stuff at once. If you want to sell a $400,000 portfolio in one day, you're not going to be able to, right? That's why they kind of cancel out each other. And so traditionally, when evaluating portfolios, people have always done so with the information of recent sales prices, not cheapest listing, because cheapest listing can be gamed. And suddenly, for example, Tyler Hero, I don't know how to pronounce the name. I don't watch the NBA. I'm sorry. Don't hate on me. Lowest price is $38. Now, edition size is 7,500. What the guy could have done is he could have just purchased, say, 100 of these between the prices of $1 to $30. And then suddenly his portfolio, he spent maybe $1,000, but his portfolio estimates $30 times 100, which is $3,000, right? So you can kind of buy up the floor, and then suddenly that estimator will give you a large estimate, and then you can sell that portfolio to people that think that it's estimated at X amount. So that's a problem with this sort of stuff. And I saw that happening a lot. People were sharing massive portfolios, and when looking into it, I was like, dude, your cosmics and your really rare low mints are like the multiple inflated portfolio. The portfolio is massively inflated because of that. Now, that's not NBA Topshot's problem. That's not Intangible's fault. They just created the tool, and that's what happened, and that's what people started to share. But as an investor, you need to know what's going on, right? So again, if I go to my article over here, I did do an example on NBA Topshot. This is a massive article. This is why it took me so damn long to make this video. Okay, so here, it's kind of like, all right, so for this one, right, let's just say this common, the cheapest is currently $16, but for a long time it was $1. So a single buyer can come in and buy them from $1, $2, $3, $5, $10, all the cheapest listings he can buy up. So say, for example, that guy came in and bought 20 of them for $1 a piece, 10 of them for $2 a piece, 15 of them for $3 a piece, bought them up all the way to $16. All right, he spent $475. So the buyer spends $475, but Intangible estimates it at $2,000 because what Intangible does is it says, okay, say the cheapest on the market is $20. So Intangible says, all right, well, that's 100 times $20. That's a $2,000 estimate now. You spend $475 and suddenly your portfolio is estimated at $2,000. You go to someone and say, hey man, buy my portfolio for $1,500. You can see how there's an issue there. You can see how that can be gamed. You can just pump it up to $100 and suddenly you spent $5,000 and your estimate is, say, $25,000. It can be massively inflated. Also, as someone that owns a lot of moments, again, this is not just an NBA Topshot thing. This is anything. This could be Decentraland, and I will go through that later on. If this guy owns, say, 200 of these moments, well, suddenly he's the market maker. He can slowly release those one by one every time there's some demand. Or he can continuously be the cheapest. So now he's a sell wall, a hidden sell wall, because you don't know that there's this many NFTs owned by a single person that will continuously list them at this prices because he needs to sell them. Unless you go and find all the collectors and hunt him down, you're not going to know that. So it's kind of like, it mimics the cryptocurrency order books if you're a day trader. All right, so that's enough on NBA Topshot. Again, like, I got nothing against NBA Topshot. I think it's a great project. I think it'll do really well mainstream. I know Roham and the team have some utility built into the games, but it just shows you how things can change. And for me, when it comes to NBA Topshot, and that's why I tweeted that I'm buying portfolios, because I'm not going to buy on the marketplace. Why would I buy on the marketplace on pumped valuations when things have gone from like $1 to $50 pretty much over 3 days, right? On these new editions, some of these new packs. And the funny thing is that's actually sustainable. Like, people have come in, the high level of interest has come in and actually bought those, which is fine. but it's risky to enter at that stage. You know what I mean, for an investor. So that's why I said I'll buy portfolios, because for me, I'll buy a portfolio valued at X, but I'll look in and see what its actually recent sales are, and I'll put a price accordingly. I hope you guys cannot hear that in the background. So that's enough of NBA Topshot. And also, well, actually, no, I'm going to go through another thing, is that the sales volume for NBA Topshot, you can see that the high was $7 million almost for a 24-hour period. Now it's kind of dropped to $1 million. And NBA Topshot and Dapper Labs with the Flow blockchain, I think people had issues with KYC, and to actually withdraw your USD funds from NBA Topshot, you have to go through KYC. There was like 4 to 8 weeks worth of lead time to wait for your money to come back. So people, instead of, when they sold, instead of going through the KYC and withdrawing it to their account, they were just like, screw it, let me just buy more NFTs, let me just buy more NBA Topshot. So they're making profit, then reinvesting that profit back into NBA Topshot, which created some insane volume. And people were doing this in mass, right? Because suddenly, like, people were realizing that, hey, I can buy it from $1 to $50, and people would come in and buy them for $50. So suddenly I have 100 that I spent $500 for, but I can sell them slowly at $50 a piece to the new interest. So again, like, is this wrong? I don't know. That's for you to decide. But you're an investor in the NFT space now. I think it's important that you know. All right, let's move on. Let's move on from NBA Topshot. I think I've done like 15 minutes already. 21 minutes. Jesus. Okay. This might be an hour long. mydcl.net/stats. So this stats website gives us information on Decentraland land sales. So Decentraland, if you don't know the project, you can buy land parcels, which are 16 by 16 land pieces. You can build whatever you want on it. So you can build, like, people are building museums, art galleries, games, all sorts of things. They're kind of combining them to make larger estates. But basically, the cheapest parcel right now is 8,888 mana, right? If a whale comes in, 9,000 mana is, I think, about 1,500 USD. If a whale comes in, he can splurge $200,000 and he can pretty much buy up the floor and push this all the way to the cheapest parcel, then being 12,000, 15,000 mana. So he can double the price of the cheapest land if he wanted to with a few $100,000. I can come in and just buy up the floor if I wanted to and suddenly be like, hey, prices in Decentraland have doubled, and everyone FOMOs in because they're like, oh shit, prices were 9,000 mana, now they're 15,000 mana, I need to get in. So they come in, I sell them it slowly. The pieces that I bought, I can sell them slowly for 15,000 mana. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying that you need to know that's the case. So back in the day, this is exactly what happened. A big whale that we called Nessie, we don't know who he is, some Anon whale came in and he just bought a shit ton of land. He just bought it from like 7,000 mana. He bought it all the way up to 15,000 mana. And we were all like, whoa, that's crazy. And this guy suddenly owned like 600 pieces of land. And it was great. Like, we were like, holy shit, like our land is worth like 15,000 mana a piece. You know, people were starting to sell their land for 25, 35,000 mana. And you can see how the interest actually sustained itself all the way through. And then second land auction happened over here. Boom, another 9,500 lands were introduced, which put the prices down a little bit. But you can see still prices kind of sustained, right? Prices sustained. They dipped and now they're kind of going back up as Decentraland is bringing a bit more interest. But it's important to note, so that whale came in and single-handedly bought up the floor to 15,000 mana. But then what happened? He realized that, wait a second, why am I buying single lands? I should buy estates. So he ended up dumping those 300 single parcels back on the marketplace. And it brought it back down to like 9,000 mana. And then on top of that, you had Decentraland that released 9,400 lands that were not sold in the first auction. And you had more land added to the supply. And therefore, lands are now at 9,000 mana. Now, if he never dumped, it could have probably continued to increase because the supply would have been taken away. But the fact that he, a whale, had 300 pieces that he had the ability to dump whenever he wanted, that's an issue. And that's why when an event like that happens, all right, it's exciting, but it's also risky because suddenly this guy can come and manipulate, if he wanted to, whether his intention was to manipulate or not, he can influence the marketplace. Sorry, influence is the better word, but he can influence the marketplace whichever way he wants to. So there are people that understand these tactics and employ them like all the time. Like they'll be like, oh shit, yeah, if I spend 100K, boom, the floor will increase to X amount. I'll put this on Twitter. People will come in. I'll sell them slowly to those people. So you're kind of probably making sense of some of the sales numbers that you've seen, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on the website, etc., right? So that's Decentraland, and you can see right now how Decentraland has, the cheapest parcel is 8,888 mana. There's actually like 13 parcels in the 8,999 mana range. They are all from the same owner. So this guy has, I don't know why it's not showing his parcels. This guy actually owns, this one wallet has listed all of those lands for 8,999 mana. So he's basically a sell wall, right? He's created a sell wall because he needs to exit. And the moment all of these are sold, you can see that that same seller, once he's sold his 8,999 mana, it's a pretty quick increase from 9,000 to 10,000 to 11,500, 12,000. Suddenly it goes up like 30-40% once those 13 or so are sold for 9,000 mana. So again, I'm always checking up on this, and I'm figuring out what the sell walls are and what's happening. And I don't actually buy these because it kind of feels a bit dodgy to kind of buy up all of these cheapest ones and all that sort of stuff. But it's just, again, it's something you guys have to know. Now, another really important metric is the number of buyers, right? The number of buyers is probably why this matters. And this is a really cool website, by the way, CryptoSlam. Gives you sales data on a bunch of different things. The number of buyers tells you how many people are participating in a marketplace. So CryptoPunks does almost $1 million of sales. Only 19 buyers. Well, it's probably just a handful of them making big sales. Has it increased the community size? I don't know, probably not. So I don't take notice of that. Although CryptoPunks has increased, and we're going to go through CryptoPunks later. That's a whole different issue. Good and bad. But CryptoPunks, when I'll see all these sales numbers, so for example, NBA Topshot, it's 4,000 people almost who are participating in this marketplace. That's extremely healthy, right? You got a very healthy marketplace. So you look at all time, and suddenly you're seeing there's 35,000 owners of NBA Topshot moments. So you can see the community is growing. There's 1,222 owners of CryptoPunks. Hash masks came out with all fires blazing. 3,387 owners, tripled CryptoPunks. Still, is it going to survive? I'm not sure. Hash masks, it is an interesting experiment because it's just come out, and the community size that's come in and bought. There's so many people on Twitter that have purchased one. It's now up to the community to keep the story of hash masks alive, create galleries for it. When new people come to the scene, they're not going to know about the history. What's new to them? Are they going to care about hash masks? They weren't part of the hype, right? Are they going to even invest in it? So CryptoPunks has a special story because it was the first NFTs released on Ethereum. It was not the first NFTs to ever exist. In fact, a couple of other projects. I don't know who's been in the industry for more than 5 years, but maybe these Spells of Genesis or Rare Pepes may seem interesting to you, but these were kind of, I think they were on the Bitcoin chain or the XCP chain. They were NFTs, non-fungible tokens, or tokens that represented individual assets on a different chain. They weren't the first on Ethereum, and I think that's where the story of CryptoPunks becomes interesting because they were the first NFTs on Ethereum. There's only 10,000 of them. So people are thinking that in the future, as the space grows massively, then they will hold a special place. Now, could be true if Ethereum continues to be the dominant blockchain, or maybe Flow becomes a massive blockchain, maybe DOT takes over, maybe Cardano becomes a massive blockchain, maybe new people don't give a shit because there's millions of users now who are trading NFTs in World of Warcraft and other projects. They look back and they're like, why should I own a CryptoPunk when I'm not that nerdy? I don't care about that. But maybe collectors care. Maybe collectors in the NFT and Ethereum space, maybe they care, right? So it'll be interesting to see how it evolves and if that narrative and that story can be kept alive. All right, so CryptoPunks is an interesting one because it kind of went through its whole a phase of wash trading / pump and dumping. Okay, I'm going to say it out as it is. You can see it kind of grew steadily for a long period of time, and that's great. I mean, it had its hype moments. It's great. It had its sustainable moments. And in September, something really interesting thing happened. Wearable came out with an amazing model saying that if anyone buys and sells on our platform, you will have a share of 75,000 Rari tokens. And if you do the math, $750,000 every week, that's distributed evenly from buyers and sellers. So if you buy and sell on Wearable, you will basically mine Wearable tokens. So people realizing, wait a second, let me just sell my art for like 0.05 Ethereum a piece. I can make Rari tokens. I'm kind of earning money, right? I'm making money on my art. I'm making money on my Rari token drop. I'm making great money. And what some of the CryptoPunks community realized, CryptoPunks are actually pre-721 standard. So pre-ERC 721 standard. That is the NFT token standard that all these marketplaces use on Ethereum to represent the NFTs. There's also other standards like ERC 1155 that Engine uses and OpenSea has recently started to use, and there's other token standards being made, but the NFT token standard that all the dominant NFT projects use is ERC 721. Now, CryptoPunks was actually pre-ERC 721 standard. They kind of made their own standard, and they made CryptoPunks work before before the standard was even made, right? So that's the special story about CryptoPunks, is they figured it out, right? And so they came out, they did that thing. And so to actually get these for sale in marketplaces like Wearable or OpenSea, you had to convert them to an ERC 721. That's why this thing exists, Wrapped Punks. You can connect and convert your CryptoPunk to an ERC 721. Suddenly it's compatible to be able to be sold on Wearable and OpenSea. Some people figured that out and they were like, wait a second, let me just buy up a ton of CryptoPunks from 1 Ethereum to 3 Ethereum. And by doing so, they buy up the floor, and everyone in the CryptoPunks world is like, oh shit, CryptoPunks are going nuts in value. They're doubled, they're tripled. And then they're going back to Wearable. So they were converting it to Wrapped Punks. And then they were going back to Wearable. And then they were selling it back on Wearable for pretty much the same price they bought it for. So they're pumping it up and they were dumping it. Whether they intended to pump and dump, who knows? But that's what happened. They pumped the prices. They bought up the floor. They sold it for pretty much floor price, minimal profit, pretty much the same as what they bought it for, to basically farm Rari. There was a massive Rari farming operation. It worked amazingly because when you go to OpenSea, there are two separate contracts, right? People see Wrapped Punks as a separate contract. They see CryptoPunks as a separate kind of listing here. So some weren't putting 2 and 2 together. Some were like, oh shit, CryptoPunks are going nuts. And people were posting sales, and then they were kind of dumping them back on Wearable. And because Wearable just had so many people buying and selling, because they also wanted to farm Rari, they were buying these from the people that were selling them by wrapping them and selling them back on Wearable. So a lot of the community, I think that's when it kind of like blasted onto the scene permanently, because at the time when NFTs, there was so much interest. If you didn't stand out then you would not many people made it across. Like, you still have to kind of push really hard. So these guys came out, that happened, large sales started happening, CryptoPunks started dominating, and then you can see how, if you look at the OpenSea volume, so CryptoPunks here, you can kind of see how all this volume happened here, and the volume dried off. So the volume are the bars, but the large sales continued to happen because people were splurging on large sales to, one, keep it relevant, two, to buy them because they were rare CryptoPunks, right? So if I wanted to go to rankings, so if I go to rankings, and you can kind of see how CryptoPunks is here listed at 2,000 Ethereum 7-day volume. Great. But where's Wrapped CryptoPunks? Wrapped CryptoPunks, which they were doing to sell on Wearable. So any CryptoPunk sold on Wearable would have been a Wrapped CryptoPunk. They're doing hardly any volume now. So 12.5 Ethereum volume. Why? Because no one's buying on Wearable marketplace anymore, right? It's the one, the gas fees are too high. Two, they added fees, so it's not profitable anymore to do so. Now Wearable is going up to $10. I bet when Wearable goes up to $20 to $30, something crazy, people will start doing it again. Keep that in mind. Because back in the day, this was having insane volume. So this was doing 1,000 Ethereum volume every week, even more, because people were wrapping them and selling them on Wearable, re-wrapping them, selling them on Wearable. They were even wash trading. So people were just buying and selling to each other and creating that liquidity, because suddenly if I sold to my friend and my friend gave me that punk back and then I sold it to him again, I would get Rari tokens, he would get Rari tokens. See how wash trading happened, right? There's a mix of pumping and dumping, a mix of Wearable wash trading. Whatever happened. And then people came in, and I think now the community is pretty spread. A lot of people own CryptoPunks. So whatever happened there, that saga's kind of closed. It's in the past. It doesn't even matter anymore, right? Because people have come in and still bought CryptoPunks. Flamingo DAO spent like 700K on a CryptoPunk. So now big people have come in and supported the project, and now it's, you know, again, the more people that own these, the more it'll grow, because there's more people, community that's on board that will start promoting it, build tools for it, etc. So that's the story of CryptoPunks, or at least that phase of the story. It didn't even need that, to be honest. It didn't need the whole farming thing. It was growing steadily anyway, but that's what happened. Yeah, so a few different things I wanted to go through. So those kind of tactics. So now the art industry is interesting. The art industry is interesting because Nifty Gateway basically bring the hype. Every day they have like 2 or 3 drops, and it's interesting, you know, they bring some big names and people want to collect their very early pieces, and they go nuts and they buy a ton in the 5-minute open edition. So that's cool, but like, how do you navigate all that? So for me, I'll tell you what I do is I wait for pivotal moments or people that I like. So I liked when OG dropped their rings. I bought some of that because I watched them on the esports. I like new artists. I like how Jose Delbo does some stuff on superheroes. I kind of like comics. I invest in what I like because I can understand those marketplaces. So now if you look at Beeple came in, he did an open edition, and that sold like $3.5 million worth, right? But before that, he sold 100 pieces for $1 each, and they sold immediately after for $1,000. So that's what happened, and I bought these, and I'm actually most excited about these because I actually have one. I bought it for $1,000, and the cheapest you can buy them for now is $19,000, right? That's interesting to me because no matter what Beeple does from now on, no matter what pieces he releases, these are his first open mint, or his first pieces of 100. So if people think Beeple will continue to grow, they're going to look back and try and grab his early pieces. Guess what's an early piece? These are his early pieces, right? Now the other ones are also important and interesting because there were physicals and digitals. They were also like, they came with like a cool component of the first time that he ran an open, Nifty Gateway ran an open edition. So for me, I buy, and this is purely investment. Supporting artists is different. I like to support artists as well and buy some of their art, and also artists that I kind of invest in are a little bit different too. So that's what I do. Like, I'll wait. At the end of the day, I'm not going to have money to invest in every single one, maybe just one piece of each. But if I want to like make money and invest, for me, it's about also which artists are here to stay. And I say that because some artists come and mint all the time. Like, they mint artwork every week. They mint a new artwork, and suddenly 2 years down the line, they've just minted so much artwork, it's not really a collectible thing anymore, unless their collector demographic has increased and that demand is there to give that pricing. Now, artists can do whatever they want. I'm not here to tell artists to do this and that, but from an investor perspective, from a supply and demand perspective, I like how some artists, they do a mint, they mint X amount of art, and then they disappear doing something else. So they network and do stuff with other projects. They do some partnerships. They, you know, like Josie comes in and Josie runs a podcast. Where are you, Josie? It was an OG in the NFT space. She was doing, you know, she was minting them on OpenSea before Nifty Gateway was a thing. I think even before Super Air was a thing. She's done like the Behind the Art podcast series. She grows a brand, right? And I like that. She grows a brand. She continues to do all sorts of other stuff to develop her personality, her brand, her network, and then does a drop of art. And because so many of us have connected with her, we go in and buy that art. So I like that sort of a longevity kind of approach, and it gives me confidence as an investor to buy some art. Now, I actually don't have any Josie art. Shame on me. Hope you're not listening to this, Josie. But you know, it's something that I want, but it's actually pretty expensive now. And all props to her because she's continued to keep her brand alive. She stayed here. She's built the community, and she's continued to be a brand, right? Now, Loopify is also doing a similar thing. He's got a blog. He kind of riles the community together. He asks questions. He builds stuff. He's done his drop. He's done really well. And I kind of feel more confident as an investor to invest in someone like Loopify, who is continuing to build his brand. So that's how I kind of navigate the art space. Some I'll just buy to just support them because I feel like they've been here for a while and they're obviously going to continue to do good things. Some I invest because I see them actively growing their brand. Some I invest because I like them. So for example, OG and esports and all sorts of things. At the end of the day, we don't know at time of buying how well something's going to do. You can just minimize your risk by doing certain things and investing in longevity, right? So that's hopefully I've covered everything there. Oh man. So Yeah, Axi Infinity is an interesting thing because they're mystic axes. The Axi Infinity game is like this virtual world game where you can own these pets, and you can own them based on, you know, they all have different parts and all sorts of things. But the very early Axis 3 years ago, you had a chance of any of their parts being a mystic part. So you can see these are one mystic part. Here we go. So I have this here. Some of these have 2 mystic parts, which are much more rarer. You can see there's only 79 of those for sale. 3 mystic parts, there's 8. So when you bought them back in the day, 3 years ago, your Axis had a chance of being mystic. You can't get mystic Axis anymore. So they're kind of like a trophy Axi. The user base has grown quite well. And, you know, they've had 17,000 plus daily active users recently, and somewhere in November they had 10,000 daily active users. So for me, it's like, all right, well, if the demand continues to grow in the game, then people will continue to buy as a collector piece one Mystic Axi, because suddenly when you do that, you're invested in the game, right? So that's kind of a different play there. So I'm looking for projects that are going to be here. Now, I could have bought Mystic Axis at 0.5 Ethereum back in the day. I didn't, and that's fine. But I'm happy to invest it 2 years later, when we're kind of at this phase, when we're at this phase where projects have lasted 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and it's continued to grow. If I buy 1 year, 2 years after a project has launched, that's fine. If a project is going to be here for 10 years, I'm still early 1 or 2 years down the line. You see what I mean? So I actually bought these Mystic Axis for between 2.5 to 3 Ethereum. You can see it's 5 Ethereum now, almost double. It actually reached 7 to 8 Ethereum until Ethereum prices start to go nuts, and then people start to sell them a little bit cheaper. But you can see how, again, like this is a good idea of how I can show you guys that if I just came along with a bag of 30 Ethereum, 40 Ethereum, I can just buy the cheapest for 5 Ethereum a pop, 5 to 5 Ethereum a pop. And suddenly the cheapest Axi is 8 Ethereum. That will bring FOMO, that will get people to be like, oh shit, I need an Axi. I can just announce it on Twitter and be like, oh, the floor price has doubled. There's so much insane interest in Axi Infinity. People come in and suddenly I list mine at 7.99 and people will buy mine. I can do that if I want to. You can see how I can kind of influence the market due to the low liquidity, right? NFT projects are very easily influenced, and that's the most important thing to take away here, is that a little bit of interest can push things high very quickly. A little bit of exit interest can push things down very quickly. So I hope that kind of brings a bit of clarity to what's going on in this madness. I'm still learning on how to invest. Now I can flip, like I've flipped my butt off with Decentraland, right? I bought land. I bought 5 lands, and then I bought and sold my way to 500, 600, 800 pieces of land. And I did so because every time someone knocked on my door and was like, hey, Maddie, do you want to buy my land for X amount of money? And I was like, yeah, I will. That's really cheap. I'd buy. And then someone would knock on my door and say, hey, Maddie, do you want to sell these lands that you have here? I put my email address on every land. It'll be like, hey, do you want to sell these at X amount of price? I'll be like, yeah, I'll sell it at that much. That's a lot more. I buy and sell, buy and sell. And I did that for 2 years, and now got a massive land mana stack, right? So flipping is part of a marketplace. Again, this is not to highlight what's bad or good. This is to highlight activity in marketplaces, in NFT marketplaces. So you, the new buyer who may not have been in the space for a long time, are aware of how things work. Now with collector projects, you can invest, but the thing is that will they remain scarce? Collecting is a lot about scarcity, right? If you collect something, you want that to be relevant 10 years down the line. Now, the NFT space, and I'll end with this. I think this is the end for my thing. I don't think I have much else to say. But if this space kind of 100x's and there's suddenly 100 games like Axi Infinity, there's suddenly 100 projects like Nifty Gateway releasing art everywhere, will your collector project that you invested in with 200 other investors, that's the number of wallet owners, let's take CryptoPunks for example, let's take hash masks for example, there's 3,000 of them, will you be able to keep that alive, right? Let's just say hash masks didn't blow up. It only had 200 collectors, maybe 100 collectors, and it didn't do that well. Once there's thousands of other projects out there, billions of other NFTs, will that stay relevant, right? From an investor level, you have to think about that. Don't get caught up in the hype. If you noticed, even hash masks did really well. Some people are continuing to buy, but a lot of people are selling it for cheap. But it's done insane volume. Now, if another project comes up, I'm pretty sure that will also gain some interest. And who knows what will happen to hash masks. I'm curious to see if it continues to go up because it has got so much interest. But everything that's hyped will always come down. Hype always dies out. at least temporarily. Hype never sustains forever. Nothing goes up forever, right? So it goes up, what goes up must come back down. It's just a matter of where you're investing and whether you just buy and hold for 3 years, 4 years, where you're okay to just ride the up and down waves all the way through. So for me, it's investing in projects and artists that I feel are here to stay. Support some projects and artists just because I want to accelerate the space and see them do well. But still, things that last 2-3 years, I'll participate in. If I can get some very good deals on some bulk portfolios, I'll buy, and I make sure I get good deals, because I know that even if I invest in a hype phase, if I get a good deal on the middle, then I'm buying at a price that even if it dips, I'm okay, right? That's why I kind of negotiate my way in. All right, so I'm going to end it there. I think that's been like 45 minutes. Jesus. Hope you guys learned something. Please share it. I hope this has provided value, and I'll speak to you guys once again.